What are the roots of Tai Chi? Are we asking about the art of rooting, or rather the roots of the art? Confused? Join me, the Teapot Monk, on today's episode of Talking Tai Chi. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Talking Tai Chi with the Teapot Monk. Today we're exploring rooting. But before we begin to define it, let's get a few things straight. What aren't we talking about? Well, we're not talking about the Aussie use of the word, which is interchangeable with having a good shag, nor are we talking about the popular USA usage as in rooting for a bammer. Nor, should I add, are we referring to the act of accessing your mobile device as a controlled user on the Android platform, i.e. jailbreaking in iOS terms. No, this is altogether another use of the word root. Instead, we're talking about foundations, your grounding connection that links you to the earth. Rooting connects you to the ground. It's about finding your strength, not just in your own physical body, but also by interconnecting yourself with the immediate environment. And you can turn it on, just like a switch. For rooting is the ability to use your mind, to use your will, your intention, to drop your center of gravity down into the ground, down there below your feet. William C.C. Chen, as many others have done, refer to rooting from the bubbling well point, the starting point of an important meridian. But I don't want to get into the physiology. You can Google bubbling well after the podcast if you so desire to go down that path. C.C. Chen talks about the 3 active nails, points on the sole of the foot that enable rooting and the transmission of energy back up the leg, through the waist and out to the limbs. As I say, Google it if that's your path. So can Tai Chi claim to offer any better rooting skills or training than any other discipline? Well, in Tai Chi, we are taught to use a very low center of gravity. Add to that a straight spine, and you have 2 very, very important points for successful rooting. And as Tai Chi is a movement art, you will learn to maintain a firm root even in motion through the slowness of weight transfer of 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, rolling the weight through the feet. In this way, maintaining a very low center of gravity, a good sense of balance, and a deep connection with the ground. Which brings us to the final point: movement outside the training halls. So what practical use is rooting in daily life? At the start, I talked about developing foundations in the earth. So let's talk a little bit more about some of these ideas. Roots don't just hold you to the earth, they feed you, sustain you, and interconnect you. Putting down roots means sharing, touching, and learning to live alongside others. Like a pebble on the beach, we are slowly shaped by the contact we have with those around us. If you focus on just rooting in martial terms, for example in push hands competitions, yes, I know that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but there you have it. As Lee said in Enter the Dragon, you will be concentrating on the finger and missing all the heavenly glory. Because rooting opens us to the interplay of forces, energies and patterns that connect all of us to one another. we begin to see our part in this rich tapestry, and slowly, very slowly, by reaching out to others, a new network of conscious, active, and dare I say it, even when necessary, anonymous citizens of a single planet. And if all that just sounds a little bit wishy-washy abstract nonsense for you, then, well, you can always go and practice routing on a train, the metro, an urban bus, and you may just find it works wonders on those sudden bends. But if you want to be very naughty, then next time you are being shoved from behind in a queue at the bank by an impatient customer, yield to a couple of the nudges and then route yourself for the next one and watch what happens. But as I say, that's being just a little bit naughty. So that's all for this week. A brief episode because next week's going to be a long one. Don't forget to visit the Teapot Monk blog, where this week Alan Watts chips in with his classic skin and bones quote. And do drop by next week for the longer podcast when we will grasp the bull by the horns and ask, what does Tai Chi mean? Expect the unexpected. Looking to discover what Tai Chi can do for you, or curious and would like to know a little more? Well, just come over to 21stcenturytaichi.com. Look for the link in the show notes. There's short introductory courses, breathing, health, Tai Chi form, sword, philosophy applications and more, plus books, PDFs and great videos and even music. Got a question? Track me down on social media as the Teapot Monk. Thanks for listening.